Everyone. Lovely to see you all online and welcome to this Lunch and Learn session for BIDS centering around communications and social media. And for those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Rebecca Mather and I've just joined the STP and Scotland's Improvement District teams to support our work around BIDS. And if we haven't met, I'll look forward to getting to know you and your BIDS over the next few months. The topic for today is quite appropriate as we celebrate Scotland's Love Local Week. And I know a number of you are involved, and we've been really encouraged to see the engagement from BIDS on this campaign. So thank you for that. And the week is all about celebrating and reminding ourselves and our communities to love local. And in doing so, we can create vibrant and thriving places to live, work, and visit. So the week was kicked off with Ministers Joe Fitzpatrick and Tom Arthur with the One Linlithgow bid. And we'll see around 45 MSPs and MPs making over 60 Love Local visits across the country through the week. And the schedule also includes a number of Love Local takeovers of markets, events and competitions. And it's been really great to see the creativity in the way that we're celebrating across the country. And if you haven't seen the videos already, there's Hamilton Our Town bid have created some really, really great content to really put a spotlight on their local businesses and their contributions to the community in a really engaging way. And likewise, hopefully you've seen some of the video content that we've been sharing with some of our ambassadors, including Sean Batty. Another key element of the campaign is the Love Local Awards. So I'd really encourage you to consider if your BID members, wider community could be recognised for their work in making a positive difference to our places. So there are 8 categories to consider, and nominations will close next Monday, 4th September. So get your nominations in if you're planning to. And it's a busy time for you, for BIDS, for the network and for STP. Aside from the campaign, there's further development of the Town Centre Action Plan is progressing. The BID network is strengthening and growing with a number of developing BIDS in the pipeline. And we congratulate Nairn for achieving a successful renewal ballot at the end of last week. So congratulations to Lucy and the team. We also have a number of events in the pipeline, and if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to consider joining us for the next BID Forum, which will take place in Inverness on the 27th of September. And the forum will centre around funding, with case studies coming in from a couple of different BIDs and insights being shared from the Scottish Council of Voluntary Organisations. And alongside that, there'll be plenty of time to share and connect with each other too. The Town's Tea Party and STP AGM is also coming up on the 12th of September in Edinburgh, and that's a really great chance to connect with the broader STP network, to hear about latest developments and opportunities for our places too. And just finally, we've been delighted to see such interest in the Scotland's Towns Conference, which will take place at the end of this year, 29th of November in Dundee. And we'll drop some links into the chat there with more information and registrations for each of these activities, and we'll hope to see you there. So I think we'll kick into it now, and I'll hand over to my colleagues at Message Matters, Chris Story and Holly Bruce, who will give a whistle-stop tour of latest social media trends, channels and best practice, followed by some really great examples from Natalie and Paisley and Elaine and Falkirk Delivers. So over to you, Chris. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for having us along again. I think we'll just skip along, Holly. Some of you we've worked with before, so hopefully you've not heard all of this from us in the past. Hopefully we're keeping it nice and fresh. But for those of you who haven't met in the past, Holly and I work for Message Matters, which is a communications agency, and we're retained by Scotland's Towns Partnership to support the organisation and its members on PR and communications generally. We work with organisations of all kinds across Scotland, mainly on their media relations and public affairs. We kind of work in a kind of 50-50 split in that respect. And today you've got Holly and I. as we said, I've worked with STP for probably about 3 years now. So our team at Message Matters is led by our managing director, Peter Duncan, who leads in our work with STP, but there are 2 or 3 of us who support Peter, myself, Holly and Claire Slipper, who you no doubt see from time to time. So today, I don't know if we're maybe stuck on the slides, Holly. There we go, and Rebecca's taken over there. Sorry, just one wee moment, just while the slides are coming up, we'll just kind of just obviously brief you in on what we're doing today. So today we're kind of concentrating on social media and the positive benefits that social media can bring for the work of improvement districts of all types across Scotland. And while we're kind of concentrating on the social media aspect of things today, it's probably good not to lose sight of the fact that social media can be an enabler for all types of different communications. So, you know, what you produce for social media might help your general local media relations work. So it might spin into press releases. It might help your member relations work in terms of it might be content that you've used for newsletters or adapted from newsletters. And you know, it could help you with your stakeholder work as well. So really why social media matters to bids is, you know, first and foremost, it's 2023. This is how many, if not most people, consume at least most of their news. Sometimes without even realizing that's what they're doing, using social media for, but they're consuming news and information. As I say, it lets you talk directly to your members, stakeholders, and politicians. It dovetails with everything else you do comms-wise. You know, you can spin things into social media content from just about anything that you do. And we'll see some examples of that as we go through some of these presentations. Top and bottom is, we're at the point where, you know, just about every type of business, organization, group is expected to have some kind of social media presence, especially if you're kind of a public-facing, membership-facing organization like an improvement district. You know, people just expect to be able to search and find you, and it's instant as well. So it's an instant shop window for what you guys do. If you just go back a slide, Holly, sorry, I think we just skipped forward one. But while that slide's loading, when we get social media right, it's brilliant. And as we go through this presentation, we're going to use Scotland Loves Local and Scotland Loves Local Week as a kind of live example, just because that's something you can see right now. But when we get social media right, we inform people about the work that we're doing. We hopefully engage them. And, you know, engagement can take all kinds of different forms. It can be your likes, shares, retweets, follows, but it can also be just a general engagement without people realizing it of the work that you're doing as well. Occasionally it will inspire, and we shouldn't be afraid to entertain either. So we just put a few examples on the screen there. So on the left, we have STV's Sean Batty, who is a Scotland Loves Local ambassador. He's been doing a lot of work with us over the course of this summer on a series of videos promoting the reasons to choose local, to shop local, to get behind local businesses of all kinds. So we've been in Paisley, which is, you know, Sean's known as a buddy. Natalie's nodding her head there. Sean's, you know, he loves Paisley. There's no denying that. He actually spent a bit of time growing up in Falkirk. So we actually started off our series in Falkirk. We've been to a farm which diversified on the shores of Loch Lomond, and which has just gone live in the last 90 minutes. We have Sean on tour in Ballater on Royal Deeside, which is one of his favourite places to visit. So, you know, we've kind of gone on a bit of a tour of Scotland, showing the different ways in which people can choose local. So we hope to entertain and inspire with that. If you look on the right of that, maybe you saw it on the screen, but Rebecca mentioned earlier, Hamilton, our town. Hats off to Malcolm, who I don't think is on the call today, but he has been Mr. TikTok so far on Scotland Loves Local Week. He took one of his local MSPs, Megan Gallagher, on a tour of some of the businesses in the town. Megan's obviously quite engaged with it because she's on the CPG for towns. But along the way, he's managed to play the guitar with her as they spoke in a music shop. He's had a man jumping around in a climbing wall behind her at a climbing centre, and all kinds of different things. You know, that's a way to engage and inspire. And as you can see on the screen in front of us now, generally on Scotland Loves Local Week, there are lots of ways for people to get involved as well. You've seen some of on the left there, some of the social media assets that we've shared as you know, in the build up to the week and for promoting in this week. And you can see also just some tweets from some you know, people and places that you'd be familiar with as well. So a SIDS tweet from the launch. Visit Scotland have been supporting us with some activity through this week. So they've been doing some posts. See some of the work that Milngavie have been doing, and East Ayrshire Council have been sort of promoting a lot of their local economic work and some of their local businesses as part of Love Local Week 2, which has been great. One omission that I made, actually, just thinking back to the last slide, is when you get a chance to have a look, Alloa did something really pretty simple. Social media doesn't always have to be bells and whistles and videos and people jumping on climbing walls and celebrities. It can be dead simple. The guys at Alloa First posted a picture of a bike with a floral display on it. That's just a dead simple way of being visual and engaging and showing support for what's going on in the town. So it doesn't always have to be lights, camera, and action. Just on the next slide, I think what we always say, and what you've probably heard some of us say before, is to remember that your use of social media is just another form of storytelling. It's another form of showcasing the work that your improvement district does. I'm looking on the screen, I can see Lisa from Shawlands there as well. You know, Lisa's well familiar with some of the ways in which Scotland Loves Local uses local business people to try and engage and inspire and encourage people to do things in their area. So, you know, just looking at, you know, some of the people on the screen, obviously Sean's there with the Houston's Kilt Makers in Paisley. The next shop along is a place in Falkirk called Whimsic Alley. I can't even begin to explain how remarkable this place is, but as you can see in the picture, it's got a tree in the middle of the shop and hot air balloons on the ceiling. It's a gift shop with a difference. You know, it's got a real story to tell. The couple on the top right hand side there, we met in Ballater. A few years ago, the shop was flooded out. They lost 10,000 books, but with the support of the local community and obviously tourists coming in as well, staycationers, they've built their business back up now. You know, they've got an in-person and online business. It's pretty good. Bottom left, we've got, you know, Bluestone gifts to our members of All About Barrhead. They've been some of the faces of the campaign. We've got Linlithgow Canal in the centre there. A remarkable story that they're building upon sustainability and tourism, which we heard when we were launching Love Local Week on Monday. And then a convenience store from Bridge of Weir, which it was Bunty, who's in one of the pictures there, was one of our first high street heroes when we did the Lockdown High Street Heroes Awards for some of the work that he did in the community. So, you know, there are in every one of your areas, you've got members and businesses who have an inspirational story to tell. So please do use your social media to try and tell that story in whatever way you can. As we know, social media is always evolving. We've got the ever colourful Elon Musk down there, and you know, the evolution from Twitter to X has been interesting. the rise and then stall, I think, of Threads above him, and what that created, that's obviously had us one that we've all kept our eye on, but it doesn't really seem to have grown much beyond the first week. So social media is, and the mechanics of social media is a constantly moving feat, but it's nothing that we should be frightened by. We've just got to roll with it as it happens. So, I mean, some things that you should probably want to be aware of is, without getting too geekish, the social media algorithms are changing all the time. So social platforms like different things at different times. You just got to, without turning yourself into a Google Analytics machine, just try and, stay on top of what posts seem to be performing well for you and what people are engaging with. It's important that we move with the times, obviously, and I say this suddenly feeling very old, but trends are showing that our younger audiences are accelerating quite quickly towards Instagram and TikTok. We've seen that build a lot over the last 2 or 3 years, but it really does seem to be accelerating now. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the X situation has maybe accelerated that. And while my 13-year-old badgered me to try and let him on Facebook for quite some time, he now tells me that Facebook's something that old people have. I don't quite believe him. But it's still an important platform, I think, for a lot of the audiences that you guys have, and Holly will run through that. Don't forget LinkedIn. It's really important for your B2B work. But if you've got a LinkedIn channel, please use it, because otherwise it just won't be engaged with as strongly. And just touching back to Instagram briefly, it's not all about pictures now. It is becoming increasingly video heavy, as Natalie and Elaine will probably explain as we go through from their real time use. Is please you can utilize Reels to stay on top of the Explore section and reach new audiences. But Holly will explain a little bit of that as we move into the next section. Holly.
Thanks, Chris. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. So we'll start off with TikTok and get it out of the way. So as Chris said, Malcolm from Hamilton has done some fantastic work, and authentic content works really well on TikTok. It doesn't need to be super polished, super edited. People like relatable, fun content. It's not just for younger users. There's 3.7 million users in the UK, so that is a massive potential audience that you should definitely try and tap into. Without getting again too technical, the algorithm on TikTok is more favorable. So if you use hashtags that other businesses or bids are using, chances are their audience will find you too. TikTok challenges. So these are, again, just a bit of fun. Jump on board with them, enjoy it, make them your own. You can see a slightly blurred image on the left there, but this is a gift shop back in my neck of the woods in Ireland, and this woman has just gone viral on TikTok by creating silly light-hearted videos. For example, when the Barbie movie came out, she had her whole team dressed in pink, and the Barbie theme tune was playing in the background, and she was showing off some of her pink gifts and things that they had in the shop. So it just gives you a little bit of creativity. It doesn't need to be super technical. But as I say, it is becoming more and more the place where people go, even just to search places to visit. As they go to visit a new town, they might do a quick search on TikTok about, top 10 restaurants, top 10 shops to buy clothes. So it's definitely worth having a look. I've popped some links in the slides. I'll not click them now, but we'll send the presentation round afterwards and you can have a look in your own time. Instagram. So as Chris said, this is actually starting to move towards being a much more sort of video-centric platform, but it still is your shop window and it's highly visual. So good quality photographs are really important, and it's a great way to, tell people what events you have coming up, showcase some of your members and the work that they're doing, and again, news, any kind of updates you have, this is the place to share them. make use of that reel function. And I know Elaine from Falkirk will go into a little bit detail of how they've been using that to support their bid members, but short snappy videos. When you go onto Instagram and you click the explore page, very often the top things that come up there will be built reels. And that's a great way of reaching your target audience. So do a little bit of searching around, see what other businesses and bids are doing, jump on their hashtags, and again, increase your chances of appearing in that explore section. The sort of rule of thumb with Instagram's 2 to 4 posts a week. This varies, but obviously the more you post, the more likely you are to appear in that explore section. And again, using as many relevant hashtags as possible just to get your content in front of the people that you want to engage with. LinkedIn, so this is still really important, and it's kind of the go-to platform for B2B comms and sharing ideas with other like-minded people. The good thing about LinkedIn is there's a considerably less amount of noise on here, so it's a bit easier to cut through. And the longer form posts work here, so you can, you're obviously a bit more limited in some of the other platforms with the number of characters you can use for sending out your messages and things, but LinkedIn, the long form post still works really well here. And this is the perfect place to engage with other people, encourage discussion, debate, get ideas, share, thoughts and ideas about what you'd like to see happen. Making content available in different formats, this works really well. So sharing blogs, you can share PDFs on LinkedIn, lots of pictures, and always make sure that you're linking off to your website. In LinkedIn, that's really important as well. So including a link to your bid website on your posts as well. You can also join groups. It's maybe worth having a wee look on your own LinkedIn and seeing if there's any kind of local business groups or big groups or community groups on LinkedIn where people are discussing things going on in the area. That's a good place to kind of make your voice heard or hear what people want to see happen. So I would recommend checking that out as well. X, formerly Twitter. I'm afraid I'm still going to call it Twitter for sake of not confusing myself. So this is obviously perfect for news and quick updates, and politicians, this is where you're going to get their attention. So make sure and tag them if you want them to share or like your tweets, just tag. Lots of noise and a high volume of traffic, so it can be a little bit hard to cut through sometimes, but check out what other hashtags, again, local businesses and bids are using, try and jump on them, repost and retweet. There's nothing wrong with just a simple retweet of somebody else's content. It's all traffic, it's all bringing people back to your own page. And again, make sure that you link to your website in your Twitter bio. That's really important. Facebook. So even though younger users are tending to kind of move away from Facebook, it is still a really crucial platform for sort of community groups and engaging with a sort of more engaged audience. You might find that people are less enthusiastic about commenting on your posts on Instagram or Twitter, but they'll happily do so on Facebook. So it's well suited to bids. And as I said, groups are a great way of engaging with local communities, getting their opinions, participating in discussions. Competitions are brilliant for Facebook. Giveaways work well too, and people are always keen to share. And again, that obviously boosts your own engagement on here as well and boosts your brand awareness. We are aware that obviously sometimes it can feel a bit scary having Facebook groups or Facebook pages, but if you ever have any sort of queries or maybe you're not feeling too sure about how to answer a comment, feel free to just drop myself or Chris an email. We're more than happy to help advise and things like that. So I'm going to hand over now to Natalie McShane, who is bid manager at Paisley First. We've been working with lots of bids across the country over the summer, and Natalie had the pleasure of having Sean Batty pop over to Paisley and do some filming with local businesses there. And they've been doing some fantastic work boosting the Love Local message across Paisley, which Natalie will talk you through now. So I'll hand over to you, Natalie.
Thanks, Holly. Hello, everyone. For us, our branding and our image has always been really important, not least because of our name. Paisley First. And we do sometimes get emails asking why we're allowed to operate, because people think we're a right-wing group. But we have a very engaged following on Facebook, more than 16,000 followers. And as Holly was saying there, Instagram is definitely the new market that we want to tap into. So we are slowly but surely growing our Instagram following too. One of the key things we do is we don't share content on our page from our local businesses. We take their material and then we create our own, so that all posts are original with copy and images or videos. The only exception to that is sometimes we share Instagram posts from our local businesses to our Instagram stories, which usually gets quite a good response. Our social media is very much part of our projects. It's a standalone project in itself. It's not an afterthought. And I think that's the most important thing with your social media. You have to make a concentrated effort with it. We make sure that we have at least 2 social media posts being issued every single day. All of our projects have a social media schedule attached to them. So right now, as Holly said, we've got Scotland Loves Local Week. We're actually showcasing films on our local businesses, as well as running competitions, both offering prizes from our local businesses and also offering Scotland Loves Local gift cards as well. But alongside the Scotland Loves social media, we've got Student Deals social for this week, because we are a university town, and this week all the students are coming back to Paisley. So at the beginning of next month, I will plan out our winter social media schedule, which will cover October, November and December, to ensure that in the run up to Christmas, every single business in our bid is getting a promotion and all our events and projects are promoted at the right time. We also work with our businesses to help them with their own social media. So we use a bid business to create free marketing films for our local businesses, which both the business can use and we can use as well. And we also include social media training in our annual training programme as well. Recently, this has included 2 courses, one covering the basics, because as Chris mentioned, the algorithms are changing all the time with social media. So we get an expert in who can give the businesses the best advice for the latest trend. The other is a course which offers the businesses practical help in creating reels, because again, video is so much bigger these days than just images alone. In the next couple of weeks, we'll actually have 2 new courses, one offering training in Canva and the other in how AI can revolutionise your social media and marketing. And myself and the team will be attending those courses as well. For us though, COVID came with a silver lining. We used it as an opportunity to relaunch what we felt was a better brand for us than using the name Paisley First all the time. So before Scotland Loves Local came along, we created the Love Local, Love Paisley brand. And we have used this ever since instead of the Paisley First branding and imagery, even though our name has stayed the same. So the majority of our social posts end with Love Local, Love Paisley. If we are sponsoring a local event, it's sponsored by the Love Paisley brand and not by Paisley First. We've basically spent the last 3.5 years reiterating Love Local, Love Paisley. It's all our marketing materials and literature. It's even the branding on our bunting for our Carfest and Christmas markets. And it was also the launch pad to create our own magazine, which is published and printed twice a year, which is the Love Paisley magazine. You can see some pictures on the slide. So this is an ad-free magazine and it's full of features on our local businesses. And it's very popular. There's actually members of the public come into our office and ask if the new edition is out yet. So we've had a lot of house building on the outskirts of Paisley taking place. So for the first 2 years of the new magazine, we had thousands of copies delivered to these new build housing estates, because we recognised that many people might have moved there to that area due to housing pressures, rather than because of previous or existing ties with the local area. So we wanted to really showcase all that Paisley had to offer. And for the first time this year, we've taken our Love Local marketing campaign to the streets as well. So we negotiated for space at 3 digital billboards in the outskirts of the bid area and booked the entire month of May. And as well as advertising our own upcoming events, we asked businesses to send us artwork to be included in the rotation as well. And it's been hugely successful. So we're repeating it. We've booked out the same space for October, and already we look like more than doubling the number of businesses getting involved. And there was two benefits of this. One, the businesses were very grateful for it. It was something they felt they couldn't afford to do on their own. And also they've had customers coming in and actually telling staff that they saw the billboard advert. So there's a lot of businesses reporting a lot of new customers as a result. So as part of trying to build our Love Local brand, we've taken advantage of our hometown heroes as well. So as has already been mentioned today, as well as being a TV weatherman and a Scotland Loves Local ambassador, Sean is of course a proud buddy. So last year we asked him to be the guest judge for our Best Dress Christmas window competition, and that was hugely popular with the businesses. And the number of sign-ups we had to take part in that competition rocketed once Sean was announced as the guest judge. This year's judge will be and guest judge will be announced shortly. He's a Paisley and St Mirren legend, but my lips are sealed at the moment. So we're always looking for new ways to emphasise our local connections and create a sense of community. So when we are developing and delivering projects like Fiverfest or Buddy Good Deals or our Christmas Golden Ticket competition, we're always hammering home the message that for every £1 spent in the local community, 70 pence of that stays there. So luckily for us, both our daily and weekly local newspapers are always looking for space to be filled, and we're only too happy to oblige. We also benefit here in Paisley from a large number of very engaged community groups as well. So they're also in our press release distribution list, and they're always happy to help us promote our projects and events. So the other thing that we've done that helps with us is we've spent a number of years building up our public database. So every trail leaflet that we have has an opportunity to sign up for a regular e-newsletter. And again, we use this medium to build up awareness of what's happening in Paisley Town Centre. And I think just overall, really, for us, the Love Local brand has really helped us engage more positively than the name Paisley First ever could.
That's great, Natalie. It's really, really good. I mean, I think there's so much that we can all learn, I think, from what what happens, what you guys have done in Paisley. That chance to hit the reset button after COVID, I think was really, really good. Kind of trailblazers in that Love Local message as well. And from a practical point of view, I know resources are always bids aren't resource-rich organisations, but from what I see of what happens in Paisley, you're quite clever with how you use the content. So the lovely Paisley magazine content is content that can be used for other things too. It's a different way of engaging. Also, I mean, I love the electronic billboard as well, because you don't have to rely on the billboard itself. That could be a social media post. Are you heading along? Have you seen our message? There's so much you can do, isn't there?
Well, we did do that with the billboard campaign in May, but most importantly, we encouraged our local businesses, to use that. So quite a lot of them were running competitions, saying things like, we'll pick the best selfie in front of our digital billboard, etc. So it was a good social media tool for them as well.
It's brilliant. Great example about how everything links together. Well, we were going to be joined by Elaine from Falkirk Delivers, who has unfortunately hit some technical snags. So I'm going to try my very best to give you Elaine's highlights, really. So really very similar to some of the work that has been done in Paisley. Falkirk Delivers has worked with some of its bid members to offer social media training, particularly around the creation of Instagram Reels, which, as we've heard, is really important. And that's gone down, I think, to quote Elaine, that's gone down a real treat among her members, or their members, which is fantastic. Coupled in with that, they've also done some photography training as well. So simple photography training, which is helping boost the quality of those social media posts. We always say that content's king. So, as strong as you can make the content that you've got, the better. But I think the way that Falkirk have done it, they've engaged some of their members. I think, as some of you as a lot of you do for your other work, engage some of their members to help with that training, to help with that specialist support. And I know the same is true for videography. And they've got I know they've got a kind of filming and film production business in the BID area in Falkirk, and they've partnered quite successfully on some really high quality promotional videos there as well. You'll see on the slide in front of you, you know, at its most basic level, they use social media well to promote events and initiatives they've got on, you know, to drive footfall into the town centre, whether it's, you know, the emergency services day with the Falkirk pub trail, which I think we'll definitely have to give a wee go on an office day out sometime, Holly, and quite a novel idea of promoting where there are vacancies in the town as well. I think I'm just going to pull up some stats. I think some of the job posts that Falkirk Delivers have posted have had a reach of around about 36,000. The pub trail, a recent pub trail posted 762 interactions and 255 shares. It's just, you know, it's just a kind of another example of the different ways in which social media can be used to try and engage your audiences. I've probably done a very poor effort of selling Falkirk Delivers and its social media offer there, but you get the idea. You know, it's about being imaginative. It's about not being afraid to try new things. A bit like in Paisley, don't be afraid to try new things. I think with social media generally, don't fear failure. Some things will be engaged with and some things won't. But because what you get is so interactive and so instant, you can quickly judge what's worked and what hasn't. So, you know, don't be afraid to give something a try, because you'll soon realize if something doesn't work. I think if we skip on to the next slide, Holly is going to now run us through. I mean, we've had a really whistle-stop tour here, but Holly quickly is just going to recap where we are with kind of her top 5 tips.
Thanks, Chris. So just to round up again, choosing the right platform for you and your bid. As Chris said, bids aren't necessarily resource intensive, so don't bite off more than you can chew. Choose maybe 1 or 2 to start off with. If you're building your audience up from scratch, you know, be realistic about what you and your team can cope with. You know, there's no point in having 3 or 4 different social media channels and you're not engaging with all of them. It's better to have 1 or 2 platforms that you're posting regularly on than having multiple that you're maybe posting on once a month. Be engaging and be aware of what your audience is engaging with. So just, you know, a quick search about what other people are doing in your area, what hashtags are being used, what content works, you know, what is it, photos, is it videography, is it thought pieces? Just have a little bit of an experiment and see what works for you. Content is king, as Chris said earlier, so high quality pictures, you know, lots of videos, interactive content, and again, have a play around, see what works for you, maybe try out some different things. What works for one might not necessarily work for someone else, so it's about knowing what's going to engage your audience and work well for you. Try not to get involved in arguments. I know I mentioned that earlier, but try and keep arguments offline. You know, offer to get in touch via an email address. And if there's ever any problems, again, just drop myself or Chris a line. We're more than happy to help advise on how to deal with that. And remember, social media is all about forging relationships and building a trusted brand awareness for your bid. So building an audience will take time. It's not a case that you'll build a channel and all of a sudden you'll have 1,000 followers the next day. Be patient with it, be engaging, be consistent. I think that's probably the most important thing. You know, just make a plan and stick to it. If you're going to do 2 posts a week, that's fine. Just make sure you keep doing that and build on it, and over time you'll get there. We will share this presentation obviously after, and I think Elaine from Falkirk has some extra notes that she'd like to send around as well. But I think that's us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, we've had a really quick run through of you know, the positives of social media. And there are lots of positives to seize. Got to really kind of be on top of those opportunities and do all of you can within the resources that you've got to promote the work of the bid. Social media can be, we talked about storytelling earlier, about telling the stories of your members to try and inspire action, encourage people to choose local, and essentially build stronger futures for communities. That's what we're everywhere on this call. That's what it's all about right now. And social media can help both with instant hits, but that longer term behavior change. So your social media tells the story of your improvement district in so many ways. It tells the journey of your improvement district and all the things that you do. So it's actually in some ways it's a bit like a diary of, or could be a bit like a diary of the achievements of your bids as you go through, which can be really important in making sure that your levy payers know that the hard work that you're doing. There's great work goes on in bids across the country, and shouldn't really hide that. We should be kind of proudly shouting about that. And in terms of proudly shouting, a shameless plug here, please don't be afraid to get involved in the second half of Scotland Loves Local Week. There is still time to get involved. There's events, there's content, there's activities running right up through until Sunday. Please use the hashtags Scotland Loves Local, choose local. Please tag in Scotland's towns and tag in Scotland's improvement districts. Also, please don't be afraid to tag in your MPs and MSPs in some of the posts that you're doing. As Rebecca said, some great work from the team at SIDS has brought out a tremendous response from politicians across the country. So hopefully some will be following up on their pre-planned visit, and you never know, some might just drop into their local shops to do some and businesses as the week goes on. Head over to lovelocal.scot if you'd like to access some of the editable and shareable social media assets that we have available. Rebecca has already actually dropped a link in the chat for anyone who needs it. And if you haven't already, try to get your local media involved as well. We've concentrated a lot on social media today, but it's about the wider mix as well. So encourage your local newspaper, your local community radio station, your local websites to cover some of what you're doing over the course of the next few days. And of course, if you have any questions or queries, or need a bit of help pulling some material together, we're on hand to do anything that's needed. So please do feel free to drop us a line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, Holly and Natalie, and to Elaine for her contributions remotely as well. I think it really highlights that the use of social media doesn't need to be too complex. Just try it out, and there's a really great support network behind you as well. So if you've got ideas and you're not sure what to do with them, do get in touch with any of the team, and we'll see if we can support there. So we'll open the floor for questions for any of our three presenters. If you've got questions, feel free to unmute yourself or pop something into the chat there.
While folks are gathering their thoughts, hopefully as we've kind of tried to demonstrate through the presentation, there's so much that improvement districts can learn from each other. There's so much good practice going on across the country, little things that you can pick up from each other, improvement districts, organisations that you might work with. I think I think this is where there's a real strength in the bid network of knowledge sharing here and good practice sharing. So, I think one of the key things is, you're not stealing from everyone else, you're being inspired by anyone else. So just keep an eye on what everyone else is doing. And if you think there's something that works in your area, give it a bash.
Yeah, so maybe that's a bit of a takeaway for those online, is to follow each other's bid social media accounts to be inspired. And that's a piece of work that STP and the SIDS team are doing as well, to start creating a bit of a toolkit or a bank of ideas that other bids are using that can be borrowed with pride, as Kimberly says. As you say, Chris, it's not stealing, it's borrowing. So any questions from those online, Lucy?
Yeah, thank you for the congratulations. I'm just feeling like I got through it by the skin of my teeth, and it's just like, oh my God. Oh, phew. But anyway, we're here and it's okay.
Yes.
Natalie in Paisley, do you have somebody who is your social media person in your team who you pay a wage to? How many days a week? You know, that sort of thing.
No, we don't, is the honest answer. So but it's myself, I'm the only full-time member of staff, and I have 2 part-time members of staff as well. Our social media whiz in the office is Maxine, who is much younger and better at social media than I am. So she's the person that we look at if we need videos done or reels done and that type of thing. She's excellent at that. And we couldn't do it without her, but that's not her only job. So if anyone is working on a project, then they take responsibility for the social media for that project. It's very much a shared thing, but for the young and trendy stuff, we'll look at Maxine, as I'm doing now.
I'll tell her well done.
Any other questions then before we come to a close? As Elaine's added into the chat there, we'll be sharing the slides, a copy of the recording, and any additional material that comes through from Elaine and Falkirk delivers. So any final questions before we wrap up and give you 10 minutes back of your lunchtime? Great. Well, it was no problem, Tony. It was nice to see your face. It was lovely to see all of you as well. Thank you so much for your support of Scotland's Loves Local Week. I hope you enjoy the rest of the celebrations, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the events coming up in the STP calendar. So thanks everyone very much.